Day in the life of a plastic surgery resident. In this video, I'll take you step by step of how my day looks like from the moment I wake up until I sleep. So the first thing that will decide what time I wake up is what time does the OR start. This time varies slightly between hospitals, but generally we start surgeries at 7 a.m. If you start surgery at 7 a.m., that means you have to wake up, get ready, round on your patients, read on your patients, and be in the OR by 7 a.m. So every day before I sleep, I want to set up my alarm for the next day, and to decide that I need to see how many patients I need to round on the next day. Let's say, hypothetical example, I have 4 patients to round on. I generally need around 5 minutes per patient. So that means I need around 20 minutes for rounding and probably 10 minutes to write progress notes on these patients. So in that case, I would wake up around 5:30. It takes me around 10 minutes from the moment the alarm starts ringing until I get up from bed. Around 20 minutes to brush my teeth, put on sunscreen, which I do every single day even in winter, wear my scrubs, get my coffee ready, and sometimes pack lunch. Then I chart check the patients from home because I have remote access. And what does that mean? So these 4 patients I'm hypothetically rounding on, I want to know what's going on with them. What are their vitals today? Any new labs, any new notes, any new imaging? So I want to read a little bit about them, so before I meet them I know what's going on. And it generally takes me around 15 minutes for 4 patients. And also you have to factor the drive to the hospital and the parking and getting to where you want to be, and that generally takes me around 15 minutes. So after I get in the hospital, I see my patients, write the notes on them, and most of the rotations you're part of a team. I'm not just by myself. So if there are 10 patients and we are 2 people, we split them, so I would see 5, my co-resident would see 5, or we might round as a team and we would see the 10 patients together. Then I generally have to update the attendings, the surgeons, about their patients, and I have to give them my plan about this patient, and they either agree with it or they add few stuff to it. When you're in the OR, you must wear a mask and a surgical cap, but I also wear eye cover all the time because you don't want blood in your eyes. And then the OR starts. Based on how many rooms are there, I'm either the only resident in the room with the attending, but if there is only 1 room running and there are 2 residents, usually 2 of them help each other. One important factor about the flow of the day will be, am I holding the pager? Am I responsible for the consults and the patients on the floor? Because these patients that you have on the floor that you rounded on, they might need discharge stuff, or they have questions, or something might happen, they have fever, they need new medication, they have pain, you need to go see them. Are you the person responsible for this kind of stuff, or there is a physician assistant or another resident responsible for these? Also the consults that come from the ED, from the clinic, from the inpatient, who's covering these, because that will also affect your flow of the day. For me, since I'm a junior, I'm holding the pager most of the time, so I'm responsible for the consults and the floor stuff in addition to the OR responsibilities. So if I'm in the operating room and something not urgent comes in that could wait an hour or 2, I usually see these consults between surgeries. But if something urgent that needs immediate attention, I usually scrub out, and the surgeon will either continue the case by themselves or with the other resident if there was another resident in the room. An important thing about the surgery is you need to make sure that the patient is positioned in the right way. You need to prep them, drape them. In some places the surgical techs might do that, and then you do the timeout and then surgery starts. How much the surgeon lets you do as a resident from the case will depend on multiple things. First, how complicated the surgery is. Second, how many times have you done this case? And third, your skills and how much you know about this surgery. So always prepare as much as you can so the surgeon lets you do more of the case. Then I usually grab lunch around noon. There is no set time for lunch for surgery residents, because if the surgery is running between 11 and 2 p.m., you're not gonna scrub out at noon specifically to grab lunch. So you try to time it between cases, or if the surgery is very long, let's say you have one surgery that is from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Here you'd usually get a break between 11 and 1. But if I know that there is a case going at 11 that will end at 2, I will see how hungry I am. Do I need to grab lunch at 11 or wait until the case is done and grab it at 2? But you don't usually scrub out at noon specifically just to grab lunch. Also, as a surgical resident, you don't get designated breaks. So your break happens between cases, but you also have to do stuff between cases, because if you have consults that you need to see or patients on the floor that you need to see, that has to happen between cases. You need to see the patient for the next surgery, make sure the consent and the paperwork is good, but sometimes you'd have help in the form of physician assistants or other residents doing these tasks. So when I'm holding the pager, I'm usually seeing consults between cases, I'm seeing patients on the floor, making sure patients that needs to be discharged have everything they need, make sure the next surgery they have everything ready so we don't cause any delays. Surgeries usually last until 4 or 5 p.m. but every day is different depending on how many cases are scheduled. But I would say the majority of my days end between 3 and 5. There are always exceptions. Some days days you get an emergency surgery and you have to stay until 11. Sometimes cases cancel and you finish earlier. So the days are pretty variable, but the OR is generally scheduled until 4 or 5 p.m. The worst thing about the day, if you're holding the pager until 5 p.m. and the consult comes at 4:55, because generally that consult is yours and you have to take care of it before you leave. So if that happens, I have to stay until it's taken care of, generally until 5:30 or 6. But if that doesn't happen, I usually leave at 5 because our pager usually switches at 5 p.m. We have a night float system, which means there is a person at night who is responsible for all the calls or the consults that come in after 5 p.m. So when we go home, we actually have time to rest and sleep. So what do I do in my day from 5 p.m. until I sleep? Generally it takes me around 15 minutes to come back home, 15 minutes to rest, so now it's around 5:30. I work out for around half an hour most of the day, so now it's around 6. Either eat at home or go out, so now it's around 7:30. Record some YouTube videos, work on the match guy, study, because you always need to keep studying. Don't think your studying is over when you finished medical school. Prepare for the next day cases, because you need to learn about your patients, why they're getting the surgery, do they have any medical problems, do they need any special attention. You need to read the indications of the surgery, contraindications, the surgical technique, the anatomy, and that generally takes at least 1 hour a day. And by that time it's around 9:30 or 10. I sometimes watch a movie or a show at the end of the day, and I try to get 7 hours of sleep, so sleep around 10:30, 11. But between us, that doesn't always happen. So that was a brief summary of a day in the life of a plastic surgery resident. I would love to hear how your day goes as a resident, so feel free to share that with us by dropping a comment below. For those who are not currently residents who are interested in pursuing residency in the US, if you need any help with your personal statement, ERA CV, interview preparation, or you just need advice on what you need to do to match into residency in the US, we have great expert advisors for you in surgical and non-surgical specialties who are ready to help you achieve your dreams of matching into residency in the US. So if you have any questions about any of our services, go ahead and schedule a consultation with our customer support team. And if you want to check the different services that we offer, go ahead and check the links that I will leave in the description below. If you found any value in this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your colleague who's interested in knowing how does a surgical resident life look like. And before you go, make sure to check out my video on how to study 12 hours without burning out by clicking here. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Peace.